Oh, I meant to plug in my microphone. Hold on. All right. Zippers. Chapter 18, Part E. Let's continue. Herschel paced slowly in front of Merrill. Merrill remained calm, fixing his eyes upon his interrogator. Would you say you're also on close terms with Marissa Olden? Get this microphone closer. Marissa Olden, another senior partner for the company you currently work for? Close might not be too accurate. Danny and I are friends, but I do admit Ms. Olden and I are on good terms. That would be accurate. And once Mr. Fairbanks and Ms. Olden shared with you some of these nuances of the company, did you ever decide to share some news, especially the big news of the forthcoming layoffs with your friend Jacob? Yes, I did, but only because I wanted him to be aware, to be ready if need be. I knew Jake wasn't seen in a bright light like others who still work for the Annex, such as yourself. Well, of course, myself. You don't remain in good standing for this many years by being disloyal. Was Jacob disloyal? The pause from Merrill was felt by the room. No, not really. What do you mean, Mr. Welch, by not really? Merrill began blinking his eyes more than necessary. I mean, not really. Literally. I mean, there's a difference between what, sir? There's a difference between people like me and people like Jake. How so, Mr. Welch? People like myself take their work very seriously. We're willing to, go to extremes if need be, to help the place that cuts our paychecks week after week. The last statement was stated with such unabashed conviction, even Zippers had to stop licking his paws. Mr. Welch, and I do remind you, you're under oath. Tell me something, please. What do you mean by extremes? Merrill glanced only briefly in Jacob's direction. I mean, yes. I mean, there's times when you look at even your best friends. You look at them and you say to yourself, you know what? He's going to friggin' sabotage himself. He's a loose cannon on a one-way street to disaster. My friend is uncontrollably bent on killing himself for the sake of his talent. And all those extra late unpaid hours he did. But I have the ability to not let that happen. I can try to stop him by not letting him self-destruct, by allowing nature to just take its course in a way. I think I was watching from the sidelines with enough care to show it. I guess. And then he does it big time, despite my warnings. Could you maybe rephrase that? Herschel asked, perplexed. I don't think so. Even his team looked confused. So, Mr. Welch, what I think you're saying is when nature takes its course, it's kind of a survival of the fittest kind of thing. Merrill's crossed leg behind the booth was swinging nervously, though only he was aware of it. Well, if you mean in a Darwinian sense, no, of course not. Herschel gave Merrill plenty of breathing room as he stepped back a couple of feet. Merrill paused and then continued, looking thoughtful. What I mean is, when somebody like Jacob, puts a noose around his own neck, it may be from the finest embroideries, the best of rope, it may be made with silk from China, but God makes it clear suicide is a sin. The last words were spoken in a tight-lipped whisper. Herschel tried not to look more confused than he already was. Even the jury began to look at others' reactions in the room. Zippers, on Pepper's lap still, laid down and placed his paws over his eyes. Trying to get back to the point, any point, Herschel asked, "Did you feel the firing? The laying off of your friend had anything to do with the upcoming public announcements for the groundbreaking elixir? That formula, as it became to be known, since it was proven by then to be enormously helpful for those suffering from extreme autism?" "No, I knew about that coincidence, but we all knew Jacob was getting nowhere in his research. Just ask Jacob himself." Herschel stepped forward again until he was just 2.5 feet away from the stand. He patted his breast pocket where the shape of a small pack of Altoids mints could be detected, about the size of a mini recorder. "This coincidence, could you please tell the jury what you mean by this coincidence?" Merrill's knowledge of the legal profession was pretty poor, to say the least, and he had no idea if a tape like the phone conversation could be used or not in a court of law. Herschel made a point of twisting the hidden breath mint case, just enough to make the shape of the rectangle even more obvious. Jacob and Elise were let go only days before Annex Systems announced its autism treatments, Merrill answered. "I knew Jacob would feel his research had something to do with this success, so I was hoping he'd get the hint early on, before they'd have to force him out." "And yet you told Jacob yourself, did you not? You felt that the success of Annex Systems' formula was in large part due to his and Elise's research, did you not?" "Objection, Your Honor. The defense is not only badgering the witness, but he's trying to trick him into an admission he clearly has already denied." "That's all right. I'll try to rephrase the question. Mr. Welch, did you ever feel, even for a day, a moment, that the overwhelming advancements on clinical autism research and treatments at Annex Systems could have, in an influential way, been generated by your friend's notes and research?" "Objection, I can see." "Overruled, Ms. Sternum. Let Mr. Welch answer that question. I'll grant you as much leeway when you question Mr. Feltz. This is why we're here, to get to the truth, not to dance around feelings or loyalties. Go ahead, Mr. Welch. Answer the question," said the judge. "Well, now, did I ever say to Jacob he was unappreciated? Even devalued at our workplace? Heck yeah. But that doesn't mean I felt Denny and the others were stealing or taking credit for his ideas or experiments." "And so you never once hinted your friend's work could have been compromised or stolen even. You never once indicated to Jacob Feltz that this was a possibility for his strangely timed dismissal." I may have. Maybe once. I don't really remember. I was confused at the time. And we're almost at the end of our 10-minute mark. So that's another 10 minutes of Zippers. And you can get it at this place right there. Right there. Right there. See? Right there. All right. Good night. Oh, I'll be live on YouTube tonight with Obligated Whisper.